If you delve into the original Rogue Trader, it says the Emperor's life has passed beyond a point where normal things can sustain him. The only viable substance is human life force, the soul, and he has an insatiable appetite for that. His favourite delicacy is psykers, and so they are found by black ships across the Imperium. Then they're given up to the weird machinery of the throne, where their souls will be leeched from their bodies to feed him. 1,000 each day, and that's the aspect of the Golden Throne I want to explore in this video. So, welcome friends to another 40k video, and let's begin. First we will go to the Master of Mankind by Aaron Dembski Bowden, when the first psyker was sacrificed, when the Emperor left his throne to fight. The sister rested a gloved hand upon the first coffin. A man slept within, his arms crossed over his chest and bound together at the wrists in a unamusing mimicry of Gyptus's pharaoh kings. The sarcophagus bobbed beneath the touch of the sister as she guided it towards the wall. The Aquila tattoo upon her face suddenly itched. Not that she believed in omens. All eyes were on her now, scientists and servitors alike. Several of the latter moved forwards to perform their function, but Karia warded them back with a raised hand. It should be me, she thought. The first of the choir should be put in place by a sister of silence. She wouldn't shirk from the bleakness of her duty at the 11th hour. The suspensors rendered the coffin near weightless, and the sister lifted it onto her shoulder, despite the awkward heft of its bulky shape. She ascended the metal gantry stairs that awaited her, filling the stairs of every living being in the cavernous hall, with only one exception. The Emperor, on his distant throne, paid her no heed at all. He had other wars to fight. The socket set into the wall was a 2-meter indented cradle of circuitry and dark metal. Karia pushed the floating pod into its waiting recess, feeling the seals at the back of the sarcophagus lock tight and bind into its cradle. The chains were next. These were wrapped around prepared hooks of polished steel, shackling the coffin in place. Nutrient cables and catheters hung like jungle vines nearby. She fixed these in place, one by one, locking them tight. A chime sounded as she linked the last one to the coffin. Primed, read the high Gothic rune on the external display. The sister entered a 30-digit code into the keypad, setting the sarcophagus to draw power from the machinery in its cradle. The suspensors powered down with a lurch. The coffin swayed slowly, moored to its cradle by the sealed cables and wrapped chains. The man within stirred with the cessation of his slumber narcotics. He opened his eyes. This young man, who had been taken from his own world and told he would be trained as an astropath, woke, bleary-eyed, and drugged inside his own coffin. He met Karia's gaze through the transparent panel. Whatever he tried to say was lost in the soundproof womb of the sarcophagus. Karia stared in at the man, watching the way wariness slurred his words, ruining any hope she had of reading his lips. Sister called one of the red priests from below. A cluster of her own sisters and various tech adepts had gathered together, watching her with unwelcome intensity. She broke her gaze away from the entombed man for the last time and descended the ladder. Karia didn't even have to sign. A nod was enough to set the hundreds of servitors working, led by the scattering of sisters and their Martian allies. She stood in the heart of the Emperor's throne room and watched every one of the 999 other coffins raised into place around the arching walls. The process took several hours to complete, ending with the dark metal pods all staring inwardly towards the Golden Throne itself. She refused to dwell on the fact that, for each active coffin locked into its cradle, another 9 sockets remained empty. Now let's go all grimdark and jump in with a point of view of someone within one of those sarcophagus. She awoke. She is bound within her own coffin, bathed in tremulous sound. It rises, octave by octave, and she thinks of deep-sea monsters, ship-eating creatures stirring and thrashing upon the lightless ocean beds as they begin to rise. She breathes in, managing only a shallow mouthful of air. Her heart beats slow, so slow. She pressed her hands to the vision panel, knowing instinctively that it isn't for her to see out, it's for her captors to look in, to see her, to see if she's still alive. Her next breath is harder than the first. She has to fight to suck it in, and it scarcely gets past her throat. Already the edges of her vision darken to grey. She beats her fists against the window, making the coffin sway gently. The motion no different from a rocking cradle. Her third breath barely comes at all. In that moment, she cries out, not with her mouth, but with her mind. She screams for the spirits to come to her. She beseeches them for their aid. She curses them for their silence. Panic drives her past holiness into blasphemy, and still she screams. Others cry out, joining her voice. Some beseech ancestor spirits or the memories of the lost. Others are offered up as desperate prayers to the emperor or the false and half-forgotten gods of distant worlds. It is the unified cry of people drawn from hundreds of cultures, voicing their psychic gifts in terminal harmony. Not all are pained, some are obliviously joyful, others are sixth sense distillations of helpless rage or simple crude fear. The chorus of outreaching emotions rises, and the battalion of interconnected machines all run louder, harder, in sympathetic response. She is fading, her breaths no longer come, and that only amplifies her silent cry. She slumps forward, cheek pressed to the unbreakable glass. Her lips tremble, her eyes wide and shivering. The stiller she becomes, the darker her sight falls, the louder she screams inside her skull. And now, only now, does she hear the melody of the other souls, of the 1,000 sharing the same fate, suffering what she suffers. Their screams and prayers and panic and fears entwine, unseen by all, and form one sound, one impossibly perfect note. Next, what does all this do for the Emperor on his throne? It seems to genuinely bolster his strength. We have a point of view excerpt for Malcador. To set this up, the Big E is fighting Horus, and Malcador must keep the throne working whilst he's away. We jump in as Malcador is on the throne and losing control of it, as it slowly takes even his immense power away. And then he is bolstered by the power of the Psykers and regains a small measure. It is tenuous, and the throne, wailing in dismay, doesn't like it, but it is forced to accept my authority. He sees those sacrificed, and notes their dreams and hopes and intentions spilling out of their corpses and smearing the floor as they are dragged away and replaced. And these sacrifices stabilise the throne, and the regent's rapid decline is arrested, and we turn back to those we started with, the Psykers who sacrifice themselves. The burnout rate is atrocious. There is a smell of ash in the air, a stink Vulcan can't get out of his throat. The psychic backwash of this monstrous immolation should be unbearable too, but it is virtually absent. Every shred and scrap of psychanic power is being sucked into the conflagration and consumed. The lines of caskets seem endless, but he knows they are painfully finite. Hundreds have perished already. Hundreds more are exhausting as he watches. How many more wait outside for admission? How many more can be brought in to stoke the fire? Sooner or later, there will be no more left to deliver. And I think that nicely sums up the power of the tragedy of the Golden Throne, the ever-hungry vampire that the Emperor and his Imperium needs to survive. And willing or unwilling, in many cases, the Psykers, willing or unwilling, are sacrificed to it, to its ever-hungry desires. And that's how I'll wrap up today's video. I hope it gave you some insight into how it functions and what role they play within the Imperium. And if you like this video on 40k, then why not try this one? And if you want a lot of videos on 40k, then why not try the two playlists on the channel?